You've trained for months, you've pushed your limits, you've crossed that finish line. So now, why post race do you feel so empty? And so many runners that I talk to and coach experience this surprising emotional crash after a big race, wondering where did the joy go? And so if you've ever felt that post race letdown, you're not alone. And this is a video that I've put forth directly for you from my experience as an athlete, a coach, and psychotherapist. And so it brings us to the question of what if the hardest part of the race isn't the miles you run, but the days after you finish? We celebrate the triumph, the success, the crossing the line. We post on Instagram or Strava, all that fun stuff. But very few talk about the mental finish line that follows. And so today I want to unpack that surprising emotional aftermath of a major race. And I'll give you some practical strategies that I use in my clinical practice to maintain your mental well-being, reconnect with your purpose, and keep your love for running alive long after the medals are hung up on the wall. For those of you who haven't followed along yet, I'm Brant Stachel, former national team running coach, registered psychotherapist, and mental performance coach. I've helped athletes from high school to the Olympics not only perform at their best, but think, feel, and recover like high performers. Over the last 15 years, I've guided runners through breakthroughs, burnouts, injuries, and massive comebacks. I help them navigate the psychological side of sport with the same precision I provide on the training side. And so today we're going to dive into that often overlooked piece of the performance puzzle, the emotional hangover after a major race. Okay, so let's start with what's actually happening. You've hit your goal, you celebrate, you recover, boom. A few days later, you feel off. Low energy, no drive to run, a weird sense of loss and mourning almost, right? So we call that the post-race blues or the emotional hangover. And this is such a well-known phenomenon that there's a term for it as post-Olympic blues. When you see a lot of Olympians post the Olympics, they've put 4 years in, they become depressed, dejected, and move away. You'll often see a lot of team or coaching changes at this point too, because they're just trying to get that spark back going. So I say all that to preface this and say, here's the key. Recognize it's not just you, and it's not weakness, and it's not a sign that you don't love running anymore or you don't want to do it. So it's more so a sign that you chased something really big and now you have to shift. So even the athletes that I coach and I see in my clinical practice who PR, they qualify for Boston, they run their dream race, they feel this dip afterwards. And so you can think about it this way. For most of you, you pour months of focus, structure, right? Emotional energy into every single event. You wake up early, you miss time from family and friends, and you condense your days as much as possible. And so that's your brain and body adapt to that purpose of what it is you're trying to do. And so when it's suddenly gone, there's this giant void now. Psychologically, hormones like dopamine and cortisol swing after a race, right? The stress reward cycle collapses. Psychologically, your identity that's been wrapped up in training for something, whether it's a race or a time, and now there's nothing immediate to anchor it to. So, how do you know if you're experiencing post-race blues? Yeah, if you're watching this video, you've probably got some idea that you are, but you can think about some of the more telltale signs. So there's physical exhaustion versus mental fatigue. You've recovered physically, but you feel unmotivated or detached, right? You have loss of motivation. Runs feel meaningless. The drive to train disappears. You might be irritable or self-doubt. I know I am post-race, right? And so that sharp post-race confidence fades. It's replaced by overthinking, guilt. Did I do enough? What if I can't get back? What do I do next, etc. And so the next piece that you often see is disconnecting from joy. You don't feel inspired. You don't feel like you want to do it. You don't even feel like you want to race like you did before. This phase is completely normal. But if you don't address it, it can slide into burnout or identity loss. It's not about fixing it overnight. It's about recognizing it and navigating it with intention. So here's how I like to rebuild mentally and physically with athletes post-race. So first, active recovery for the body and mind. Take movement down a notch. That's okay. Swap your structured workouts for easy runs, walks, yoga, other activities that you've been neglecting. Spend more time with family. Let your nervous system just exhale and relax. That's on the physical side. On the mental side, you can use tools like journaling. Reflect on what went well, what you learned, what you felt before and after the race. The act of writing helps you process and reset. It's a tool we use in psychotherapy all the time. The second step would be to rediscover your why. Right? So post-race blues often hit the hardest when your identity has been tied to the results or the performance that you're looking at. In my upcoming book, I talk about the idea of competitive identity, the part of you that links self-worth to performance outcomes. It's powerful for sure. It helps us perform, but if it's unchecked and unmonitored, it can become dangerous. So after a big race, that identity loses its anchor, the performance that you're searching for. And that's when that void starts to creep in. So the antidote, re-engage with your purpose identity, your deeper why behind running. Maybe it's the community you have, the people you get to run with, the social time that you don't get, the time just to yourself sometimes in your own mind to think and escape the realities of life. So remind yourself, running isn't what defines you. It's a part of you, but it's not what defines you. It's what connects you to who you are. Step 3 is another concept in my book. It's a reset routine. So it's a structured way to recenter after big efforts. When a race ends, your routine vanishes overnight. So let's build a new one. Why don't we have a post-race routine? So replace race prep rituals with recovery rituals. Block time in your calendar like you would for your runs for rest and reflection. Set a short-term goal that is unrelated to performance, like running with friends, helping pace friends, exploring new trails, improving your sleep, maybe getting back to strength and conditioning, because we all know we skip that half the time when we're training. And so this new rhythm that your brain is reestablishing helps give you control and stability. That's what you're missing post-race. And this is the key to moving through that post-race dip. Oftentimes, post-race, this is when we want to lean into building our support crew, our community, and connection. And so running can be a very solitary pursuit, but recovery shouldn't be. So lean on your running buddies. Talk about this post-race fog and feelings that you're having. You'll be surprised how many have felt it too. The shared experience and understanding, that's my hope for this video, normalizes the emotion and the reaction. If your mood stays low or motivation disappears for weeks, there's no shame in talking to a sports psychologist or therapist about it. Emotional recovery is part of athletic recovery. The other piece I would say is use online communities. Like, the internet can be horrible for sure, but it can also be great. Strava, Instagram, chat groups that you're a part of. Be intentional with how you navigate those. So the internet can be very comparison heavy for us as runners, but it can also be supported if you engage authentically and diligently. So find threads or forums where people discuss the after, not just the during. This is probably one of my biggest pet peeves with social media is all we see is the greatness, the great race, the miles leading up to it, the runs that are good. I'm fortunate enough to, talk to runners every day in my clinical practice and my coaching practice. And I can tell you from the, 2:15 level to the 6-hour level in the marathon, every single one of those athletes has bad days and bad runs. They just don't get posted about. Proper community reminds you that the athlete journey doesn't end at the finish line. It just evolves to what's next. So running, I hope for most of you, has a long run ahead. I want you to embrace the journey. So here's the bigger picture. Every runner faces this paradox. You train for a moment, and when it's over, you have to rediscover meaning behind it. Maybe you hit your goal, and now you go, hey, I've hit it. I don't know what's next. Okay, we have to recalibrate and think about another goal. Maybe you didn't, and we have to reflect and see what went wrong, and then we recalibrate for that. That's growth. That's how you evolve as an athlete and as a person. And so if we redefine success, not just from your finish time or your last finish time, but into your ability to keep showing up, curious, open, and even when the spotlight fades, you continue to show up for yourself. As I mentioned earlier, plan for the downtime. Build recovery phases into your year on purpose. Give yourself permission to be an athlete who rests and reflects, not just races and hammered workouts. Accept that progress isn't linear. This is the hardest one I find for athletes, is we think because we ran this, we can run this, and then this, and this, and this. And we just think there's this nice line. And there's that, famous graph that everybody knows of where it's like everybody thinks progress is like this, but it's actually like this. That's totally true for running. We're going to have injuries, illness, family commitments, everything you can think of that are going to pull us off our path. And so if you recognize that and you trust in that, that helps build a safer identity around running. So the runners who last for a long time in their career aren't the ones who chase every finish line. They're the ones who learn to enjoy the space between them and during. Okay, so what I want you to do is look at this dip in motivation, look at this dip in mood as a growth opportunity. We can turn the dip into growth. So if you're feeling lost after your big race, you're not broken, you're human. And so what you're feeling is your brain recalibrating from intensity to integration. The same drive that got you to that finish line will also help you rebuild what's next. We just have to point inward this time. So take a breath, reflect, reset. Your best running is not behind you. It's just waiting for you to reconnect to why you run. I hope this video was helpful. I'm told that I should ask for follows and subscribers for this video because apparently it helps grow and more people like you see my content. If you want to, go ahead. If not, I won't be offended, but I would really appreciate it. So thanks for listening. Keep training smart, both physically and mentally. And I hope to see you following, commenting, and enjoying the rest of my content.